Gotcha. Ooh, I had to really look. Welcome back to M Hood Fishing, everybody. So I'm just tooling around this morning looking for bait fish, looking for gills. Started with the fly on the Tenkara rod. That didn't work out so well. Now we're under the float. We're just going to spend some time catching some bait under the float. The last few catfish sessions I've been using skipjack that I've had in the freezer for a while. Well, let's take a look at the float before we keep yabbering there. I think it's time that we got some fresh cut bait. So we're just going to have a chill morning. It's getting on in the morning. It hadn't been that great, but yep, having to get into weird places today. Here's what the bayou looks like where this pumping station dumps into it. Right in here, it's all scummy looking, and a bit out in front of it. This doesn't necessarily look good for fishing to me. If you look around, you'll see vegetation up against a bank is dead, and what is growing behind it is not dead, right? And it's like that all over this bayou this morning. It would make you think what's going on, right? So I am wondering if they sprayed the banks for whatever reason, because it appears that way on both banks. Even where we're standing, everything's dying except for what's behind us, but there are no dead fish, just dead plants. Nice. Oh yeah, second fish, but not good for bait. These are just not very good because it's not an oily fish. Sometimes in late summer I've had success with gar, but nothing else. Let's go look at dead vegetation and catch some more fish. It just goes on and on and on. Looks like fall, sort of. See all the yellows, browns, and oranges? Like fall, like we had some drastic winter cold front that came through, but only affected the little bit up against the bank and not up on the past the bank. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I've got a theory, and Alex and I have already discussed it. Let's get down here and I'll share it. Always nice to find a bit of shade to park in. It's not going to last forever, but look at this. Like winter struck just on the edges. So Alex and I had a conversation about this earlier, because I've been out for a bit. It just hasn't been very good. Yeah, it's because I started with just the fly out here. So Alex is telling me that sometimes they spray the edges to increase drainage, spray the vegetation. There are no dead fish or anything like that, or haven't seen any dead invertebrates, but lots of dead vegetation. But you can see there's a contrast, like a spray line. Maybe you've seen where somebody sprayed accidentally some Roundup or something, and it's like almost like you could write with that Roundup, like they were spraying an edge and they had a little overspray, or they spilt some somewhere in the yard, and it'll just be that dead spot or a dead line like that. Whoa, I wasn't sure if I had the I think he's gonna come up. He's gonna come up wrong. He's gonna come up wrong. Watch him come up wrong. He came up wrong. Came up cichlid. Wasn't sure if I had the correct depth underneath the cork for where we're fishing, but apparently I do. Well, there's more than cichlids down there. The truth is that Alex and I do not know that the spray theory is an actual fact, but let's assume just for a second that it is. I know down in the comment sections, one or at least a few people are going to comment that it's got to be a control effort about the invasive species water hyacinth and possibly others. Look right here, this pond is connected to the bayou, and there is no sign of it being sprayed. There is plenty of hyacinth and other things in it, like a lot more than you would want. It's absolutely choked. Walk just across the street where the culverts come back into the bayou, and dead stuff on that side of the bank, dead stuff on that. And you can see the contrast over there. See the contrast? If it's not spraying, it could be connected to a lot of pumping because of you know, the chances of rain this week that didn't really pan out. However, that is drastic looking. So yeah, just checking this spot out. I've had it work out for me before, but I'm not seeing a bite. You know, people's garbage can tell you a lot about them. This is a popular spot for people to just drive up and fish, and most of the people fishing for bluegill, and they leave a lot of garbage behind. It's all different people, it's not the same. But okay, so we got this. This tells you that someone fishes here that doesn't like to touch their fish. Over here we have a dead cichlid, and this tells you that someone doesn't like the way their fish smells. They don't like it smelling fishy. This tells you that someone likes water with beer flavoring in it. Somebody likes to be clean, but they don't pick up their garbage. And they're kind of weird because they're into chains, but they're into the cheap ones. Got some plastic chains here. Look at that. At least we get a free jig out of their garbage. Okay. Really wish I didn't have to do this. There's probably tons more around, but there's a decent bag of it right there. Even all the way down here at the end of the road, dead vegetation. I'm about to go find another spot. Probably about to give up too, but I'm gonna go find another spot. One thing before I leave this spot, you'll see across the way dead vegetation up to the bank, and then behind that not dead. Over there, same thing across the way. And this little cut that goes into the base right across from us seems to be the same, bit dead vegetation. But look at the far bank coming out of that cut at the corner. You see dead vegetation in the cut, but when you come this way and look down the bayou past the pumping station, you do not see dead vegetation up against the bank. So if they were spraying for whatever reason, they just came down the bayou, turned here, and sprayed like crazy up that way. Now, when they start pumping, all this floating vegetation will get pulled in here, and it will jam things up. So perhaps that's the reason, if they did spray. And it's looking like they did. Well, you guys are always something to rely on when the video is sucking. And I see bluegill all over the place now that I come back, and they just don't want to eat. They're running and looking at the worm. Well, I found a bluegill that wanted to bite. Too small, just way too small. Oh, I'm finding another one that wants to bite. I think it's going to be small too. Oh no. Small, but that's big enough. Maybe I will end up getting some bait from this endeavor. At least that's 2 pieces of bait. Well, there are some fish right here. Oh, that is a small, but that is a bait size right there. Looks like we're gonna get something. The wind is starting to pick up a little bit, but I'm not switching to the drop shot because this spot is really snaggy. Oh, yeah, there are some fish hanging out. There's a lot of fish over there where I just was, where I spent way too much time this morning, but they're not feeding. They won't bite. They'll just come look at the bait and turn around. But out here, they're feeding. I was just bringing it in, and all of a sudden I had this little guy on there. Gotcha. You can see them actively feeding. That's a nice size one. We must be coming into solar noon. I've been out that long. Just didn't want to give up. I see what's going on. There is a big school of minnows here or something, some kind of bait, and the bluegill are nailing them. Feel like grabbing the fly again. I've got the rod sitting over here ready to go. Look at that. It must be solar noon why we're getting all this activity all of a sudden. We certainly didn't see this activity early this morning. Plus this was all kind of stagnant looking, and the wind has cleared it out a little bit. Got a little bit of the scum out of here. I want to try the fly even though it's windy. Oh, there was a hit. Oh, there's a fish. No. Back to the cork because that was being more productive. Did get a hit on the fly. It's just a little too breezy. Ah, it's a sign of something right there. Gotcha. Oh, dang it. Must be a bunch of cichlids right off that point over there. We got this one upside down. Well, in the end, I achieved the goal I set out to achieve. Got just enough for a session in the tote back there. And I'm ready to say this. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I will see you next time.